When you think of America, you might be thinking of Hollywood, cowboys, that song about a party in the USA, or the 9th of November. Wait, 9th of November or? Anyways, these are the things that I don't really get about the US. First up on my list are Kit Kats. Why do they look like this? What's wrong with their logo? Why does it look like it's made in Microsoft Paint? And why is there this pale yellow line next to the letters? I don't accept it. I don't approve it. This is how a Kit Kat looks in other countries. I think it looks way more polished, way simpler, but in a better way. Also, look at these colors that represent the added flavor to this specific Kit Kat. It looks nice and bright, inviting. You want to take a bite, you want to take a break. What happened here? Why is it so muted? I feel like they just stopped trying. And you might be thinking, why do I care so much? Well, I am a graphic designer, so I am somewhat qualified to talk about this. So I'm the type of person that goes to a restaurant and looks at the menu and says, is this Comic Sans? The short answer to this question is why Kit Kats look different is because they're produced by two different companies. One is produced by Hershey's and the other one is by Nestle. So both options are not that great. The Mars bar. In America there's no such thing as a Mars bar, but there is a Milky Way, which is basically the same thing, just named differently and in a different package. Probably different ingredients as well, but it is produced by the same company. But you might be thinking, Milky Way? That sounds familiar. Where there is a Milky Way in Europe. It does not have caramel in it, but it does have nougat. And this Milky Way does not exist in America, but there is such a thing as Three Musketeers, which is a very similar chocolate bar. Just probably a bit bigger with a bit of a different ingredients, but it's the same experience. To be honest, I like the name Three Musketeer. I think that's I would like to be a musketeer someday. If I would have to choose a profession, being a musketeer, top 3. It is kind of a strange switch up happening here. It's like seeing a movie poster translated into your mother tongue, and you look at the title and you're like, this is not how it's supposed to be translated. The movie Frozen, cold-hearted. It's not cold-hearted, it's frozen. Why not just translate it like that? Next up, we have an obvious one. Fahrenheit. You guys still use Fahrenheit, while the rest of us switched to Celsius long time ago. We can somewhat blame Europeans for this, because the Fahrenheit system scale of measurement was made by a German physicist. So when Europeans went to America, they just were like, hey, use this. We need you to use this. And they were like, sure. And then later, scientists came up with a better way of measuring things that's more precise. And they were like, hey guys, we use this Celsius now. So maybe you want to switch too. And they were like, sure, we can try. They tried, they did not succeed. So now they're still using Fahrenheit because it's too difficult to switch, and I understand, but also why? Why did this happen? And in a similar sense, it also applies to pounds, miles, and inches and feet. The British took their measurements with them and they were like, hey, use this. And they were like, sure, we obey. I don't know if that's how it actually happened, but the British did bring their measurements to the US. The British still also use these measurements, which is confusing because pounds is like a way to measure weight and also their money. So I don't know why they couldn't come up with a different name. And here again, Americans tried implementing the metric system and it just didn't work for them. So they just stick to what they know. By the way, how are you? Yeah, you. I'm talking directly to you and only you right now. Well, if you actually answered how you actually feel, you're doing it all wrong. Why would I care? What's the point of this question? Why can't you just say hello, nice to meet you, hey, great to see you again, instead of, hey, how are you, I'm good, how are you? I fully get that it's a way you greet people, but it's just strange to me, and I think to a lot of other people. It just feels insincere. I know if you actually care, after you greeted each other, you would say, hey man, how are you actually doing? But you're asking a question, but also not really. And then Europeans are like, yeah, I'm actually not having a good day. My piano was stolen by a cat, so I don't really know what to do. The police are not taking me seriously. And they're like, I didn't really ask. I was just being friendly. Moving on to the next thing. You don't have WhatsApp? WhatsApp, bro? I mean, honestly, good for you. Why can't you say good for you without actually sounding like an asshole. I mean, we use this because it's free, so it's easy to text people, friends, family that lives abroad. You just need Wi-Fi or internet for it to work. Sending text messages to each other would be way more expensive and it would cost extra. So, you know, the fact that you don't use WhatsApp is completely fine. I mean, I don't know why we're using this specific app. Thankfully, you don't have to pay for it yet. From calorie counts to portion sizes, we wanted to find the biggest differences between the UK and US food. Why is your food so big? Or more specifically, why are the portion sizes so ginormous? I mean, these are the drinks that you can get in Starbucks. The largest drink size you can get in UK and probably the rest of Europe is 590 milliliters, which is 20 ounces. In America, it's 890 milliliters. That's such a big difference. I mean, I know you guys love ice, so probably this cup is like half ice, but still, like, it's bigger than my head. Like, it's so huge. This not only applies to drinks, but it also applies to fries. Well, just food in general. Like McDonald's fries, the big pack, 130 grams. In America, 190 grams. 46% increase. Why is everything bigger in America? Please explain. And why do we need so many sizes of Kit Kats? I mean, here it says that it's for sharing. But do we actually share? Because I don't know if I even have friends that like Kit Kat this much. Or at least that live close to me. So, and same goes for these Oreos. Like, in Europe, I've never seen a bag like this. Like a ginormous pack of Oreos. I mean, maybe we just don't like Oreos that much. We have our own cookies and stuff. And look at all these flavors. It's really tempting to buy one and try it. The problem with something like this is that if I have it in my house, I'll be munching on it all the time. Even if I don't necessarily want to, but they're there, so I have to, kind of. I grew up in the type of household where if we have cake, it's gonna be there for 2 days and then it's gone. So you better have some while you can. So I'm working on that. Plus the cookies get stale if you leave them out for long. The real question is do you also have these tubes of Oreos in different flavors? I can imagine you have like a pack of 2 or, you know, a pack of 10. But does the pack of 10 come with all of this assortment of experiences? Or is it just these? Because those are the ones that I see everybody trying. So let me know. Next up we have plastic cups and paper plates. I feel like Americans use way too many of them, or way too often. If you're throwing a picnic or a party, completely understandable why you would have them. Fully on board with that. But my problem with this is the usage of paper plates and plastic cups for every day. I've seen some YouTubers that I like and also YouTubers that I don't like anymore using paper plates for breakfast, lunch and dinner and then just throwing them away when they're done with it. And it feels so wasteful. I understand that it's a convenience thing of like finishing your meal and then throwing it away and not having to do the dishes, but it can't be good for the environment. I mean, we have to think about it just a little bit. I feel bad when I buy like paprika wrapped in plastic and then I have to unwrap it and throw the plastic away. I can't imagine myself just having plastic cups and plastic forks that I use and just throw them away. Even as a student, I don't think I knew a single person that did this. Probably they exist, but I feel like this is typical maybe for a student life. Which again, I get it, but it's just like plates are not that expensive. I guess it's the doing the dishes part that's annoying. Plus I've seen this video of a person being completely in shock that if you decide to have your coffee at a Starbucks inside instead of to go, then it's served in a little ceramic cup with a ceramic plate. And apparently you guys don't have that. You just have plastic to-go cups even if you want to sit there and drink your coffee. I mean, it probably is like that if you're in a little cute cafe or something, but not in a Starbucks? Speaking of red Solo cups, the legal drinking age is 21. Why? Why? You can vote at 18, you can legally drive a car at 16, but you can only legally drink at 21. Make it make sense. In some ways I do understand why the drinking age is so high, and it's kind of difficult to explain because like you have 16, 17-year-olds driving to school, driving themselves to school, and underage drinking happens anyways, and you don't want them to do that because they don't know what consequences mean yet. And then people aged from 18 to 20 that are maybe in college and live close by, so they don't even need a car to drive, if they drink a little bit of beer at their friend's place, they are more aware to not get into the car and drive off. You know what I mean? I'm not encouraging underage drinking. I don't even like alcohol. When I have a sip of wine, my head hurts. So I'm like, this is not fun. I just want to go to bed now. It happens, so we have to somehow deal with it. Anyways, this is the map of legal drinking ages, and 21 is not a popular one. Most of the countries are pro 18, and some countries allow like a small alcoholic percentage at like 16. I'm saying it's weird, but also I kind of get it, but also I don't know. Paid days off. The US has no national requirements for paid days off or vacation days. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that insane? I thought they would have at least like 5 or 10, like not a lot, way less than Europeans, but none, just none. Instead, businesses rely on creating their own PTO policies, and we all know how that goes. 76% of Americans have access to PTOs. The US Bureau of Labor Statistics reports that civilians and private industry employees typically get 11 days after 1 year of service, 15 after 5, 18 after 18 years? Dude, no. No. In Europe, workers typically have 20 to 30 days of paid days off. And here's a map of paid days off in other countries. The gray part means there's no legal requirement. There are probably tiny little countries that also have this thing, but all this part is so colorful, meaning they do have at least from 5 to 30 days off. What's also so ununderstandable to me is that you don't have sick days. You're telling me if I break a leg, that's my fault? Well, technically it is probably because I'm bad at walking, but I broke a leg, I can't work. I need to survive, I need to pay bills, I need to get food. Like, hello? Typically, in the US you get like 5 to 7 sick days. So if you get sick, you're like, hey, can I use up my sick days? Instead of like, hey, I'm sick, I need to recover. I don't care about working, I want to get healthy. Honestly, dude, that's so crazy. That's like, I completely don't get it. Like, if I'm sick with the flu, I can't control how much time my body needs to recover and get back to work in a healthy state. And if I start to stress that my sick days are not enough to cover my recovery, then it's just gonna take longer. And then what happens if you have like a bad disease? Like, I'm not gonna give examples of any of them because they're all bad. What if you need a month to recover or 6 months to recover? What if you need to do medical procedures to feel healthy again? The one thing in our lives that is actually important is being healthy. Because if you're sick and it's really bad, that's the only thing you can focus on. Mentally and, well, physically. So if I'm already dealing with a lot of things of trying to stay alive, I can't focus on doing the grind, making money, getting dough, and also the whole like healthcare system. I'm not gonna get into that. I wish you good luck. If you're an American, I'm gonna be honest, European healthcare in like many countries is better in so many ways, but also it's like not perfect at all. Usually they're understaffed and overworked, and if you're not dying, but you have some kind of chronic pain, it is really difficult to get diagnosed as to what it actually is. But at least we don't have to pay for an ambulance. Well, technically we do have to pay it through taxes and all that stuff, but come on. You call an ambulance and then you have to pay like 1,000 for just a drive to the hospital? Please, I'm dying. I need an ambulance. What do you mean? In a lot of European countries, you do get paid when you're sick. Some countries require you to go to the doctor and have a little piece of paper saying like, hey, boss, I'm sick. Can I please have 2 weeks off? Well, the doctor tells you how many weeks you need, whatever. So maybe the first 3 days you don't get paid, and then later you get paid, but only half of the salary. You know, in different countries it's in different schemes. But in general, you get paid, at least a little bit, for quite some time. Moving on to something else, stalls. Why do they have such ginormous gaps on the bottom? And why do they have such ginormous gaps in the door? So that people can just walk by you and look into your soul while you're trying your best to not fart in a public bathroom. The one positive thing about this is you get really funny TikToks. Upon my academic research, or just Googling, the main reason for this is just so that people don't do anything suspicious in those stalls. So they just don't trust you, which is fair. Why would you trust a stranger? In some countries, cities in Europe, you will find public bathrooms that do have a gap underneath. but you won't find one that's like, you know, looking in type of gap. In a lot of places you'll find that the stalls are just a little room with a toilet and some hooks to hook your bag and toilet paper and a trash can. So I don't get it. I don't get it. Invasion of privacy. Next slide. Moving out at 18. I feel like I heard so many people talk about being kicked out or being forced to move out at 18. It's such a bizarre concept to me because mom and dad, you had me, you have to pay the consequences. I don't have a job right now. I'm looking for one, so I need a place to stay. Maybe back in your day, you can just have your printed out resume, march into a company, put it on their desk and say, hey, you hiring anybody? And they're like, gosh darn it, you got us. See you next Monday. And then proceed to have this job for the next 10 years. Now it doesn't work like that. It is really difficult to find a job. Trust me, I'm speaking out of experience. Nowadays, if you have a bachelor's, a master's, a PhD, and 7 years of experience, you might get a job that just pays you enough. So for now, I do need your help and support. And I don't get why parents just like disown their children and just like, hey, buddy, you're on your own. Good luck. Huh? Does this happen in other countries and in other families? Probably. But those families probably don't love you. Again, I'm not saying that every American does that. No. There are many families that are great and lovely and nice and would never do that to their child. But it is more common to see this phenomenon in the US. Maybe in Canada too. I don't know. I'm talking about America today. And since we're talking about America, why is it called America? Why is the United States of America just as shortened to America? America is this and this. These both are Americas, North America and South America. But somehow, when we say America, we all know we're talking about the United States of America, or the great USA. Make USA great again, as they say. And when you Google America, the USA is what you get. The name of the continent's America is based on an Italian explorer that suggested that, hey guys, I think this is new land. And then much later, the British colonies decided to move away from the British Empire and they had to name themselves somehow differently. And so they were like, hey guys, America, Americans, sounds pretty good. So now we know them as Americans. Now let's go back and talk about food again. More specifically, supermarkets. If you know me, I love supermarkets. They are so much fun. Why are they so big? Why are supermarkets so big? So big. Too big. Don't get me wrong, I do like going to like a big supermarket or a hypermarket like Kaufland and like walking around exploring things that it has and looking at all the options, but it's so exhausting. Like I don't really want to go there all the time. It's just too big. Like usually how Kaufland specifically is designed is that you have to go like around the whole store to get to the cash register, and if you forget to buy like some fruits or like an avocado, you have to go all the way back around to get your vegetables, and then you go all the way back to the cash register, which is just kind of annoying. And I'm the type of person that loves to walk, loves to collect steps, but sometimes after a long day of work, I just want to go in, buy my stuff and leave, and not walk extra 2K steps just to find everything that I need. Plus again, back to portion sizes, everything is so big. I mean, yeah, I guess they're family size, but does your family need this much milk? You can buy like a gallon of milk, like a big jug of milk. That's not really a thing here, unless you like go to a cash and carry store, or maybe one brand has that. Other countries also have families, but we just don't find the need to have such big items. Technically, I would like to see like a comparison of like, is it better to buy a gallon of milk if you have a big family, or 2 individual packages of 1 liter of milk? Because this option will produce more waste, but this option might produce more food waste if it's not fully taken care of. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm just a person making YouTube videos. And onions. What happened to the onions? Look at this one. This one is the typical average sized onion. And this one is an American onion. Oh my god. I've seen one in real life and I was shocked. I was like, wow, this is really what it is all about. Giant ass onions. I do enjoy cooking, but I hate cutting onions because most of the time you need to cut like 3 of them, and so you need to peel 3 of them, and so you have a higher chance that you'll probably cry at the end of it. And if you have just 1 onion, you have to peel one onion and you might not cry. So I'm pro big onion. At least I would like to try and cook with it. And also it explains why a lot of American recipes say like, hey, use like half an onion. What do you mean half an onion? It's like 2 slices of onion. Next up on our list, fast food. I mean, I like fast food. It's fast. It's most of the time it's food. I grew up eating McDonald's, so it's my oftentimes go-to comfort food. But my recent discovery was that, well, in Europe we have, or well, in EU, not in Europe. In EU, there's 55,000 fast food restaurants, which is actually way less than I anticipated. And we have 91,000 supermarkets and grocery stores, which is also way less than I anticipated. Okay, looking back, I genuinely can't believe these numbers. They seem too unreal, and I only found them in one not so trustworthy source. But I still wanted to keep this segment since I do make a good point, I think. But just don't really trust these numbers, I guess. And let me know if you actually know the real numbers. Great, thank you. How is that possible? The reason why I decided to look into the numbers of this is I remember seeing a video about someone explaining how it is to live in America. Is that you drive with your car, you pass by 5 fast food restaurants, Taco Bell, KFC, McDonald's, Burger King, etc. And then, only then, you get to a supermarket. So you are basically tempted by these super fast and easy options that have a drive-through instead of going to a grocery store. It is way easier and more convenient to just go to McDonald's, get your stuff, and then go home. And that's one of the main reasons why America is overweight, is not because that they're lazy, it's mainly because of their environment. They're surrounded by so many options that are convenient and easy and tasty and delicious that it's difficult to resist. And we're just human. If your culture is local fresh food, and you're surrounded by many beautiful fruits and vegetables, you're probably more likely to get those instead of, you know, unhealthy cookies. Plus, when you eat fast food, you're more likely to get hungrier faster, even though you ate so much food. And the food tastes so good, you just want to have more of it. And food addiction is a real thing, and it's so difficult to deal with because you have to have food to survive. You can't escape it. So you have to somehow deal with it. In Japan, for example, it's so easy to go to a 7-Eleven, get something like relatively healthy or nutritious for affordable prices, and you're good to go. If a grocery store was 10 minutes away from your house and a McDonald's was 30 minutes away from your house, you're probably more likely to go to a grocery store unless you're really craving fast food. So you get what I mean. It's bizarre. The next big topic on my list is car culture. This country is very car oriented. I mean, it makes sense because of the past, you know, they were like, ooh, cars are so cool, let's make everything for cars. And then they did, and now it's not that great. It's not really good for the environment or the people. I've heard that many of American cities are not really walkable. They come to Europe, they're like, wow, everything is so walkable. That's why they're so fit, because they just walk all the time. I know that New York is pretty walkable, Chicago is pretty walkable. So there are cities that are walkable. Maybe it's mainly the city centers. Some neighborhoods are also walkable, but if you see in this picture, I don't see any pavement or sidewalks. So you can only drive somewhere with a car. You could walk there, but it's just unsafe. If you're an American watching this, hey, I would like to know if your neighborhood is walkable or not. Or if you live in a neighborhood like this that's like suburban. I live in Germany in like a little town that nobody really knows about, and I even have sidewalks that I can walk on. And I can easily, with my little 2 feet, go to the grocery store that's like a 20-minute walk away, buy my groceries, and then go back where I belong, which is in my room playing The Sims. But in America, to get to a grocery store safely, you have to get into the car, drive 5 minutes, get your stuff, and drive back. That's a thing. And, you know, let me know how it is to live there. Continuing on the car culture, you also have a lot of parking spots. Like, way too many parking spots. In the EU, we have 253 million cars, registered cars, and 300 million parking spots, which a lot of them are just on the street, as in like not in a dedicated parking spot like this, but just like on the curb or on the side of the sidewalk, you know what I mean? In the US, they have 283 million registered vehicles and 2 billion parking spots. 2 billion parking spots. It's nice. If you like visit a city, you don't have to stress about parking, or stress less about parking. Because going to like Paris or Amsterdam with a car, I feel like that's just impossible to find parking if you're like just traveling around. In countries like Germany or the Netherlands, it is way more convenient to just go there by public transport and then go to your desired destination by foot and then go back, instead of going there by car and just like trying to find a parking spot, because most likely you'll park way further away than you would like to, and then you would still have to walk where you need to be. So what's great about public transport is that you can just have your book and you can just read your book, or you can do some emails if you want to, or you can just stare out the window and look at the scenery. With a car, you have to be engaged and drive. You can listen to a podcast, but you can't really do anything else in the meantime, if you are the one driving. And a lot of Americans do drive alone, so they are the one driving, so they cannot just take a book and read it. As you can tell by this map, the really red color means that 80 to 90% of people drive alone, so a lot of it is dark red. This study also looked into how many people do carpooling, and it is pink, so 5 to 10% is pink that do carpooling. The orange one is 10 to 15. So not a lot of people do this, which makes sense. I mean, I don't want to grab a stranger along, maybe that we live in different areas. It makes sense. And also, what is this? And public transit. This is the map of people taking public transit to work. Again, pink, not a lot of people. And it makes sense because public transport is difficult to implement in such a big country that is so wide and so, what is the word for it? So urban sprawl. Many US cities and metropolitan areas are characterized by urban sprawl, with a low population density and expansive suburban development. So it's just big. Yeah. It makes a lot of sense why cars are so popular. But also, it's a bit sad. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's a bit sad. Maybe you disagree. I mean, public transport does have its disadvantages, especially if it's Deutsche Bahn, because you're gonna be always late if you're using Deutsche Bahn. Somehow, it's really surprising every time the train is late, or well, every other time. It's a gamble if the train is gonna be on time. Whoopsies, the other train has priority. Whoopsies, it's snowing, guys. We didn't know that snow exists, so we don't know what to do. We don't know how to be on time. We are Germans, but we have no idea how to be German. Punctuality? Who is she? Never heard of her. Last thing about cars. Eating in cars. I feel like it is very American / North American to eat in your car. To just get your meal at a drive-thru and then munch on it in your car. From time to time, it is quite nice if you're on a road trip, or if you're on a small road trip. You can just get your meal at a drive-thru and continue driving while you eat your food, while you get your body fueled with something not so healthy but delicious. But usually what I do, if I go to a fast food place with a car with my friends or family, we park our car, we go to McDonald's, we get our food, and then we sit in McDonald's, we eat our food, and then we go home. Because who doesn't want to listen to the ambience of a McDonald's? It's beautiful. No, but it's just nice to sit down, eat the meal, you know, people watch, complain about other people being too loud, and then going to our car and then going by our day, through our day, along our day. But instead, what I've heard in America / North America, they get their food at a drive-thru, they park their car and they eat it in their car. I think there's nothing wrong with that. I understand, it's nice, it's convenient. Also, nobody is coming up to you and small talking about your day, because you guys love small talk for some reason. Again, nothing inherently wrong with that. It's just a bit, I don't know, unusual, not unusual, but isolating, and can be lonely. I'm not saying that if you're alone, you're lonely, but yeah, you catch my drift? Yeah, that's all. Next slide. Nutrition labels. Why are your nutrition labels based on serving sizes? Because serving sizes are subjective. You can't tell me that 7 M&Ms is a serving size. We both know I'm gonna eat half of that bag, and then I'm gonna regret it because I'm gonna feel sick. but I'm gonna eat half of it. And then I think it also makes it way more difficult to compare two products to each other, because the serving size on the peanut M&Ms is 7 M&Ms, and the serving size on the caramel M&Ms is 12 M&Ms. In most European countries, they measure it by 100 grams, plus oftentimes they also include the serving size. So you buy a chocolate bar, it says 100 grams, how many things you get, and then the serving size of this specific chocolate bar is 52 grams, so the serving size and then the rest of the information. So what I usually do if I want to, for example, buy a bucket of ice cream, is I take 2 different ice creams that I'm interested in and look at the nutritional label and compare the calories and the proteins and added sugars, and then from there decide which one I want to buy. Is it healthy what I'm doing? No. Am I gonna still do it? Probably yes. But that way it's way easier to compare them on the spot. Otherwise, yeah, I don't really get this serving size system. The internet says it's more and more convenient for the customers, but I don't buy it. The next thing I don't understand is credit score. Is this a thing in European countries? Because I've never heard about this. Granted, I never took a loan. From what I understand and from what I've heard from other YouTubers talk about it, is that you are kind of encouraged to take loans and then pay them off kind of immediately to get the credit score high. So that in the future, if you want to buy a house and you get a mortgage, you have a lower interest rate or something along those lines. So basically you have to prove that you're a good paying little citizen that will pay off the loan. You don't have to have this credit score to get like a loan, but it is highly beneficial that you do. Does this type of system exist in other countries? And if yes, then which ones? I think in a lot of other countries, they just look at the income, the employment, the, how likely you are to pay off these loans, and if you have any previous debt. Back to food. Again, we all have weird foods. And some of them, even I am scared to try. Fully understandable. And what I recently discovered is these foods. Well, American food. When I first saw them pop up on my TikTok page, I was like, oh, why are you combining marshmallows with Cool Whip, Snickers and apples, and also canned pineapple? What's happening? Take it away. Why is everybody eating this? After that, I was like, oh, I think this is just like something that someone came up in the 70s or 50s. So people were a bit bored during that time, or more like they're exploring new possibilities with new inventions. So this is what they came up with. My biggest pet peeve with these recipes is that all of them are called a salad. This is a frog eye salad, a Snickers salad, and ambrosia salad. Why are we calling this salad? I mean, if someone asked me, hey, do you want some frog eye salad? I would be hesitant. I would be, well, I never tried frog, but it is a salad, so I'm expecting it to have some vegetables, so it must not be that bad. So hey, why not? And then they bring me this. I would be like, huh, okay, this is completely not what I expected. It doesn't even look like frog eyes or a salad, so I just feel lied to. Why do we have to call it a salad? Just call it a dessert or a little treat or a little concoction of some sort. Not a salad. The one thing that you did phenomenally is Rocky Road. I mean, not only does it look like a rocky road, it is so addictively good. It's like a mix of everything covered in chocolate. It sounds not that appetizing, but if it's made right, it's too good. It's dangerous. It's dangerously good. But hey, who am I to complain about this, since my culture has this thing called Maisezsuppe, which is literally translated to bread soup, and is actually translated to bread soup. It basically looks like this. Unappetizing, I know. It is not a soup, but it is made out of bread. I do like it, I think it's a nice little dessert, but until the age of 16 I was convinced that bread soup was just a soup made out of bread, because we didn't have enough ingredients back in the day, and so they came up with this. No, it was a dessert. I was disappointed. Also, we have salads that look like this, which is like covered in mayo. At least it has vegetables, okay? But it is covered in mayo, so, give me a minute. Here you go. Could you select one? The tipping culture in America. It's interesting, to say the least. Typically, when you go out to get a meal, you are recommended to tip from 50 to 20%, which is a big percentage. The thing is that servers are basically living off of tips. They're paid $2 to $3 an hour, and the rest is paid by tips from customers. Of course, different states have different laws, so maybe some are more generous and they actually give the minimum wage. Plus, it also depends on the restaurant, but usually they are paid very, very, very little, and the tips are their livelihood. Of course, the employer at the end of the month has to make sure that they do make the minimum wage from their tips, which is like, dude, this is bizarre. Let's just stop tipping. As in, give them what they deserve and just not tip. In many European countries, it is not required for you to tip, but it is really nice if you do, sometimes from 5 to 15% if the service was really good. And also in different countries they have different etiquette. In Germany, for example, you tip while you pay, but in France you leave a tip on the table after you pay and then you leave. I think people are not really happy about this situation themselves. It's not really a good system, I think. I think a lot of Americans would agree to that as well. So that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to leave a comment what you like about America, like genuinely like about America, in the comments. If you did not enjoy the video, feel free to roast my country in the comments and be creative. I don't want to hear, oh, your country is so small and unknown, nobody knows it. Yeah, duh, I know, been there, done that. So I think that's it for the video. I have 5 minutes left on my memory card, and I can finally play my Sims 4 game feeling guilt-free. So yeah, bye-bye. I wanted to say thank you for anybody watching, subscribing, and enjoying my content. That's really cool of you. Recently I've been reflecting about my channel. To be honest, I'm not too sure what my channel is even about still. But I'm just making videos that are fun and interesting to me and might be interesting for you. So I'm glad there's people out there that think this is the content that they want to see. Also, I'm sorry I can't upload more often. To be honest, I really wish I could, but I just can't. I just physically can't do more videos. My videos usually take quite some research and editing. And if you see me making like a video a week, you can assume either I'm unemployed or I hired an editor, which one of them is more plausible than the other one. Good luck with whatever you're doing, and see you next time. I'm tired, dude. Yapping on camera for hours? Exhausting. Who knew? Also, how do you like this tie? I really thought this video needs a tie, and I could not find any tie in the house. So last minute I just made my, little like a belt thingy from a dress into this makeshift of a tie, and I think it kind of works. It gets the message across.